Look at the adjective. Play.
And I have half the brain that you do. I told you. Hold on.
Now is the franchise going to take the Viagra?
Gonna put some butts in the seat.
Hello there, wrestling fans, and welcome to episode 110 of Because WCW, the podcast where the big boys play. My name is the Twisted Genius, Dean Ayers, and I am joined as ever by DAZN's own Liam Happ. Good evening, Liam. How are you doing? How's the house? How's the gaff?
Well, first off, Dean, am I really DAZN's own? Do they own me? Am
Yeah,
I
they
at
do.
some sort of really... Oh, crap, I better read my contract. Secondly, I'm doing well in the house, and I'll say this much. The reason I'm doing so well is I'm actually recording from a brand new kitchen.
Oh, I record from my kitchen as well. It's clearly the place to be.
Oh, it absolutely is. I'm on this lovely little new breakfast bar. I've always wanted the breakfast bar, and I can sit and record, and it's fantastic.
Liam, do you know which part of my kitchen? Legit, do you know which part of my kitchen I am recording this from?
On top of the washing machine.
No, that's the that's another podcast that I record from there. No, I'm genuinely recording this as always from the breakfast bar in my kitchen.
Holy
It's
crap on a cracker.
It's like stereo breakfast bars,
Dueling breakfast bars.
dueling breakfast bars.
Yeah. Welcome to the podcast from the dueling breakfast bars of London and the south coast. I can't remember where the fuck he lives.
So would that mean competition is implied?
Yeah, I
on
mean,
a dueling breakfast bar.
we are now at war. You understand this, Dean,
Yeah.
right?
So we'd have to have like a 3 or 4 course breakfast where each of us has to eat each course quicker than the other one.
While chatting shit about professional wrestling.
Yep.
And being you're forced to eat until you're nauseous, and you're also forced to watch Disco Inferno matches non-stop.
Yeah. You'd start off with cereal, work your way up to steak and eggs.
And with the Disco Inferno matches, you can start with work your way up to... Oh, wait, they're all the fucking same, aren't they? We're off to a good start, aren't we?
Yes, we
About
are indeed.
10 F-bombs and random rattling on about dueling breakfast bars. I've missed this, Dean. I have missed this so much.
Well, it's been a couple of months since the last Nitro Watchalong. Obviously, the last actual podcast we did was special tribute to Scott Hall, who features prominently on this episode of Nitro, which we're watching today. And in fact, we're watching today the 50th episode of Monday Nitro, which originally aired August the 26th, 1996.
Wow, so 110 episodes, 50 of which watch-alongs. We've had a good old go. And I know it's slowed down a little bit lately. We'll try and pick that up a little bit.
Yeah.
It might not be the golden age of podcasting anymore, but we'll try and, I think, looking at my schedule, I'll be in New York at the end of this month for Taylor Serrano, live on DAZN, by the way. Make sure you watch it, all 12 of you listening to this podcast. And after that, we'll try and squeeze in a couple of good episodes in May at the very least, I hope.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you said this is episode 50. Now, as you know, I do every now and again. I am one of the hosts of the Hooked on Wrestling Sunday Night Quiz, which you can get over on Facebook at Hooked on Wrestling Events. And there's I can't take credit for this. This was courtesy of Rob McNichol, my co-host. He had a theme all about 100s. And he had a cracker of a question, and I genuinely haven't told you this in advance. I want to see if you can figure this out. I had a wrong guess, but by sheer coincidence, the wrestler who won the opening match of the 100th episode of Monday Night Raw also won the last match of the 100th episode of WCW Monday Nitro. Can you work out who that wrestler was?
So he won the opener of the
He
100th Raw,
Yes.
and he won the main event of the 100th Nitro.
Yes.
All
So
right.
yeah, you have to have a think about what years those would be.
Nitro 100. I mean, we're at 50. We're talking the summer of '97.
Hmm.
Oh no, the 150. Yeah, Lex Luger,
You are absolutely correct.
because that was the
Yes.
title win, wasn't it?
Yes, Luger won the World Heavyweight title, WCW World Heavyweight title from Hogan.
Yeah. Do you know what? That, I mean, that admittedly significant moment in Nitro history is the only reason I've answered that, because I was sitting there trying to figure out when Raw 100 would have been. Well, I started in January '94, so December '94.
No, it was actually 95 because it began
Oh
in
wow.
January. Yeah, it began in January 93, and I was thinking because one of the other questions was, what year was the 100th Raw? Started in 93, so yeah, 52 weeks in a year. But you got to think they wouldn't have necessarily had. I don't know about a Christmas episode, but there'd be a week where it was preempted by the
Preempts, yeah. Okay.
US Open, and there'd always be a week where it was famously preempted by the legendary Westminster Dog Show. So that would make it 50. So I figured out it'd be 50 episodes a year. So yeah, it was the beginning of 95, and then as you say, 100th Nitro was 1997.
Yeah, no, knowing that the 100th Nitro was that one, and the fact I did actually have to do the timeline recollect when I landed on August '97, just estimating when 100 would have been. The first thing you think of is that infamous, 6-day reign, isn't it? And it was the 100th Nitro, and it was also, if I remember correctly, there was a very memorable squash match featuring the Giant, where he stacked up either two or three opponents, one of them being notable future TNA Team Canada coach and current executive at Impact Wrestling, Scott D'Amore,
Ah,
because he
okay.
told some really good, cool stories. Or we got a chance to interview him at Wrestling MediaCon in 2018, and he told some great stories about that night. I think it was in, where was that? Was it Detroit? Was it Nevada or something? He was saying he just rattled off all this trivia about like the logistics of that little swing of events, because presumably
Yeah,
the enhancement talent like got tagged along and used on a few tapings. Because by the sounds of things, he had like a few nights work, and he just talked
yeah,
about how he's gone from stop to stop. And it was just one of the things I said to him. I always remember he's done this thing where the Giant has choke slammed all two or three of these guys in one after the other,
yeah,
and Diamore's laying there selling the choke slam he's received. He's like almost out cold, and then his teammate has been choke slammed next to him, and Diamore has sold that and the effect it had on the canvas. He's like convulsing
yeah.
from the sheer impact of someone being choke slammed next to him. I was a massive fan of that.
Nice. Very, yeah. I mean, I did see a clip on Twitter of a WCW squash match from I think it'd be early 90s, probably 92 kind of time,
Mm.
with the Steiners against these two jobbers, and the first guy gets legit knocked out by a Steiner line that catches him right on the jaw.
I'm gonna need some other details to try and track this down, because so
Yeah.
so far that's not a lot to go on for a Steiner match.
But the guy is legit out, and basically, like Rick Steiner goes for a pinfall, realizes he's not going to kick out, pulls him up, and then literally drags him over to the corner and holds his hand out to tag the guy.
Yeah, it's a shame they're not a heel, because that would be really easy to do. Like, look at these arseholes. They've destroyed one, but they're not gonna take the win until they've destroyed both.
Yeah,
But yeah, because you know what was also doing the rounds again recently on social media was that infamous clip of, was it Low Key's Evolve debut, where he's knocked the guy out with one kick, but then
Oh, okay.
he insisted on still getting his shit in, as they like to say. So yeah.
Oh, I can't find it. It's somewhere. I think it's on my liked tweets or something. I've found, but I'll find it. If I do find it, we will put it on the on our Twitter feed at because WCW. Where if you don't already, you can give us a follow. We do get also we get tagged in a fair few bits of cool retro WCW stuff from some of the other WCW what would you call this? WCW files out there or something.
Yeah, some great accounts for
Yeah,
trivia and things like that. We really appreciate. Obviously, we can't reply to everything, but we appreciate being involved in the conversation. We'll try and do a few retweets when we're not running our asses off with our day jobs and that,
real life. Yeah,
which is one of the main reasons we're struggling with a more frequent output now. But I like
but
to now the kitchen's done and now you've recovered from your 8th bout of COVID. I'd like to
yeah,
think we'll try for the fortnightlies again. We'll see if we can get back
yeah,
to a fortnightly vibe.
indeed.
Listen up, slapnuts. That's right. This is Jeff Jarrett, the chosen one, and you're listening to Because WCW. Now choke on that.
Yes. So as we said, this is episode number 50 of Nitro, originally broadcast on August the 26th, 1996. From the wonderfully named, if I can get the venue, the wonderfully named Manatee Civic Centre.
Oh, I like
Yeah.
that.
But the thing to note here, and I think definitely a thing to bear in the back of your mind when you're watching this tonight, is we were just talking about Raws being preempted. Well, this was one of them. There was no Raw on the other side.
US Open. We discussed this on
There
the
you go.
very last time we managed to do this.
Yeah. So basically, Raw is going. Sorry, Nitro is going unopposed because there's no Raw. So they are going. You would imagine they are going to get out the best china, as it were. But we shall see. Okay, so as I said, August 26th, 1996, I am on 000000. Are you in the same place?
Maybe.
Then we shall begin in 3, 2, 1, play. And cue the burning buildings.
Yeah, I feel sorry for these buildings. They never seem to escape that fate.
No.
Imagine the insurance premiums.
Oh, astronomical.
In fact,
And
I feel like after 50 episodes, I wouldn't be surprised if I run back through these and find I've already run that insurance joke. But sorry, I'll do it again in 30 weeks from now.
and Hogan is still in the red and yellow.
Oh, got a bell ringing.
Yeah.
It's almost like
Going straight
Rampage, isn't
into
it?
a match. Mm. So we basically had a bell ring, we've had pyro go off, and we have two wrestlers in the ring that we haven't really been able to have a good look at yet. I think one of them's Juventud Guerrera. Oh, now the bell goes again.
Yeah, they haven't got the hang of this whole thing, have they? But I'll say one thing: it does look like we are starting to ease into the era of having regular junior action on the show.
Yeah, oh, here you go. Billy Kidman. So it's a masked Juventud Guerrera who Larry Zbyszko says he's never seen before. So I don't know if this is his, it's his Nitro debut, whether it's his WCW debut, I'm not sure.
Well, these two, I mean, you fast forward 2 years from this point, they would both look very different and they would contest
Mm.
some absolute stunners over the title. Juventud was one of those wrestlers who helped mint Kidman's first cruiserweight title reign. They had some great matches.
And Kidman's just gone for a cross body block that's basically catapulted both himself and Juventud Guerrera out the ring. And it's one of those things that makes you realize how much wrestling evolves, because that was a sometimes used kind of double finish in old British wrestling in the World of Sport era. If they wanted to have a match end accidentally without a winner, that's how they do it. But now it's like the opening move in a match. We've now had like a sunset flip powerbomb to the outside. So to paraphrase what you were saying earlier, they are getting all their shit in.
Yeah, I think we've just entered the second minute of the match, and now he's
Yeah,
gonna. Oh wow, that's like a pescado plunger into a leg drop. That's a hip destroyer.
yeah. I was just about to say, ouch.
Do you remember when Johnny Stamboli, Johnny the Ball, tried to do something like that and completely shattered his hip?
Oh
This
no,
was during
didn't
the
he clearly does.
hardcore championship eras of the infamous WCW 2000.
The springboard corkscrew splash, and that got a pop from the crowd. He's
I
definitely captured their attention, hasn't
Yeah, I love Zabisco calling it a 2.5 gainer. He sounds like he's auditioning for the Winter Olympics.
he?
Oh, they're going tit for tat on the powerbomb counters.
Mm. Kidman goes for a cover off of just intercepting that springboard Hurricane Rana into a power bomb. Now a body slam, and Kidman is vaulting over the top into a leg drop. And that move just looks a bit tame compared to everything else, which kind of says about how much they're doing.
Yeah, a lot of big moves. There's no real selling per se, and there'll be times where you have the odd match like this, but it's amazing when you consider some of the matches of modern days that are accused of being exactly like this, but you can see the levels at play with regards to what's going on and the narrative of a match. And I think selling could be better across the board, but
Yeah.
this sort of match is not what I'd consider commonplace modern day. Shooting star
And
press.
oh, beautiful shooting star press from Kidman. And Hoovy kicks out, which is surprising
Yeah, do you remember?
because I'd have thought a big move like that they would want Matt to be the finish of the match.
Do you remember when WWE attempted to run a storyline where the shooting star press was a crippler because it did. Was it Chavo Guerrero got injured from a shooting star?
Okay.
So they tried to do a thing where he turned heel and actually crippled people with it. Oh, and there's the match.
And Hoovy's won. Yeah, Hoovy countered and got a top rope Hurricane Rana. And that was, I'm going to look up how long that was. It couldn't have been more than 5 minutes, I'm
Oh, it
sure.
absolutely wasn't. I'd say more three and a half, late three.
340. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
bang on.
And Kid was straight back on his feet. I mean,
Yeah.
what you could really do with if they're going to insist on running this style of match, and we've discussed this before, Dean. Do you know what can really help? Is having an announced team that will cover for certain things and explain them and contextualize them. You've seen like recently commentators like Excalibur and Pat McAfee have done a great job of pulling things into context where otherwise
Yeah. I
they'd
mean,
confuse.
yeah,
And
Mike
if
Tenay was always excellent in that role.
Well, if there's one thing you can maybe do to try and cover for the complete lack of selling here, if you think of like the lightest weights in boxing, they will just throw so many punches at each other, and a lot of them land. And obviously, they don't have the knockout power of a heavyweight. And that's a
Mm.
comparison you should probably make that these two guys can do all these sort of things, but being powerbombed by Hoovy is about a tenth of the impact of being powerbombed by Kevin Nash. And that they just go at that breakneck. You could really do with them putting that across sometimes. I don't know what this promo is.
So we've got Hoovy, doesn't speak very good English at this stage of things, trying to do a promo, but then going into Spanish. And as soon as he starts talking Spanish, the fans all start booing him. Oh, he's saying in Mexico, everyone knows about the New World Order.
Yeah. Yeah, this is.
Mean Gene there just to try and direct traffic.
Yeah, that was because I think I'll give you a good comparison. Is like, have you noticed how like Andrade El Idolo's promos where he's using the broken English? recently, but I actually think he's been using it really well and keeping things basic and tying it into his arrogance and a little bit of menace as well. But that was just all over the shop. There's a way to
Well,
do
Mean
it.
Gene clearly had someone in his ear saying, "Tell him to
Yank
shut the
him.
fuck up."
Yeah. There
Yeah,
was
and
no there,
we've
there
got a
was no
new
direction.
Glacier promo, Liam.
Yeah.
We got a new Glacier promo. Well, he was basically saying that he was the best wrestler in Mexico, and then saying that everyone in Mexico is scared of the New World Order, and it didn't really go anywhere. But
Yeah,
hey, he
it
gave it
just
a try.
completely floundered.
Maybe they shouldn't have done that on a live broadcast. Who thought that was a
It's a
good
shame
idea?
because it feeds into this stereotype, this stigma that if you can't speak clear English, you can't cut a good promo, and I think that's utter bollocks. I think Juventud Guerrera just can't cut a good promo.
Well, he's a lot better these days, obviously. But I think that sort of thing. You'd want to put it on a pre-tape, and then if something goes wrong, you just redo it.
Yeah,
So I do feel quite sorry for Hoover there.
there was no reason for Mean Gene. I know he likes to hustle, the boy, but there was no reason for something there, was there?
Yeah. Oh, now we're talking about the upcoming War Games, which will be what in a month? Is about a month away.
Yeah, it's quite cool to hear Zabisco kind of yeah, rallying for those W, saying that New World Order won't be ready for War Games. Obviously, Zabisco's been in a War Games or two.
Mm,
I believe
yeah,
two, 91 and 92, I want to say.
91 and 92. Yeah. So this is we're going back to last week where Sting and Luger asked to take up two of the slots in the War Games with Flair and Anderson
Two
against.
ex-horsemen.
Yeah.
It was I remember covering this with you the first time. It was interesting, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. That old thing. I've used this line in a promo before. It was an Arabic saying that translates as "My enemy's enemy is my friend," and that's the thinking here.
Yeah. It's interesting that like Benoit and McMichael, who stepped aside to allow them in,
Yeah,
basically said, well, if Flair and Arn are okay with it, because they are the head honchos, which I kind of like, because you know that Flair's the crown jewel and he's the one they got as champion. But it's basically an admission that Arn is, when it comes to voting power, Arn is very much Flair's equal.
yeah. On his senior partner, isn't he?
Especially when you could, it's a year removed from that famous Anderson Flair feud, which I loved, and that match at Fall Brawl '95, which I
Mm,
loved, where Arn basically proved that he's not to be undermined by Flair, and the instant response of that was Flair allying with him and Pillman and reforming the Horsemen, almost with
mm,
that level pegging that we saw there. So I like that. I
yeah.
like the progression there. I appreciate that. Oh, what have we got in the
So what
second
we got? We
hour?
got Shivani running. Oh, so we got Michael and Benoit, so the two people ousted from the War Games against Luger and Sting, the people who've taken the slot from them.
See, that part I don't understand so much because if they're going to run that match, you might as well have them say, no, I don't want to give up my spots. I don't think that's a good idea. They need to prove it by beating us. So it could have been a little bit better there now I think about it.
Hmm. So we have got with the American males music, but we've got Marcus Bagwell and Jim Powers, the world's oldest youngster, and they are managed by Teddy Long. Is this a new tag team?
Yeah,
And what's happened to Scotty Riggs?
they've got a new manager and hideous new ring gear as well.
Well, Teddy Long managed Bagwell and Scorpio, didn't he, to the world titles a few years prior to this? But it does make
Ah,
me wonder where Scotty Riggs has gone. Has he got injured? Has he been fired?
eh, yeah, trying to recollect now.
I'll have a quick look.
It feels a little hard to keep up sometimes, doesn't it?
Here comes the Dungeon of Doom. They've really had their legs cut off from them ever since the New World Order came in.
Yeah, I mean, we remember that very early New World Order thing with Big Bubba being attacked, which is a bit because he would have been a good prime target to turn. To be fair,
Mm.
if you're gonna start the NWO flunky hood, he's a good candidate for a heavy for someone to take those hits so that the main three
Yeah.
can get out of there scot free. They'd get there with that, obviously.
No, there's nothing to say what happened to Riggs at this point because he is back soon afterwards. So not sure. Anyway.
Yeah, that ring gear is high on the Randy Savage ring gear scale. Oh wow.
It's
Remi-
like a cross between rainbow and tinfoil.
Yeah, do you know when you'd collect stickers and you get really excited when you unpack one of
Yeah,
the
the
rare
shiny.
shinies?
Yeah.
He's a walking Premier League 98 shiny.
Yeah, he's like the club crest, isn't it?
Yeah. Club crest with tons of steroids injected into him.
Yeah.
And I'm wary of throwing out allegations, but come on, look at Jim Powers here and tell me he's not gassed to the gills.
Couldn't possibly comment. So the baby faces are standing in the middle of the ring as the heels circle the place. We're in a particularly small venue for Nitro this week, aren't we? The Manatee Civic Centre looks
Yeah,
very small.
remind me of the location of the manatee again.
At Palmetto, Florida.
Because I did. Have you noticed there's a very strong ratio of horseman t-shirts? We might
Oh,
not be strict horseman country, but we're horseman country adjacent, you could say.
yeah, I suppose, yeah.
Although since he's in the ring, Dean, I suppose we need to talk a little bit about Buff Bagwell's apparent face turn on social media. Have you noticed that lately?
I can't say I have, no.
Ever since taking Diamond Dallas Page's help with the to get back on the straight and narrow, as many cases have, as you
Yes.
know,
Yeah,
Jake the
because he's
Snake's
had
got
trouble,
all.
hasn't he? He's had
Yeah.
seizures and stuff like that.
And he has just gotten like really he's gotten really involved on Twitter, engaging with fans, having some conversation, and he's been fully in defence of modern wrestling and I think he's even chimed in on the like what was it like was it trans rights or maybe just gay rights? I'm not sure.
Okay.
I don't want to state something and I'm kind of
And
off
not be,
market,
yeah,
but
yeah.
he did get involved in that like in a very positive way. To be fair, because he has that reputation, doesn't he, over the years of being a bit of a douche.
Yeah.
But no, he's been the opposite of that as of late.
Oh, okay. Well, I've just looked up the Manatee Civic Centre, which is now known as the Bradenton Area Convention Centre, but it holds 4,000 people. So, in the grand scheme of things, not a lot, for something like this. I mean, the I think my local venue, the Brighton Centre, holds around the same. So yeah, but as long on a narrow shot like the hard cam, it looks absolutely fine. So Jim Powers now taking over on Ray Trailer, and Jim Powers has been on the offense an awful lot.
Yeah, still wrestles like he's stuck in the 80s.
Yeah, and this means he's taking the pinfall, don't you?
Yeah, of course. Took me a while to realise it was someone who wasn't the other American male. To be fair.
Yeah, it's just that rotten gear that made you realise.
Yeah.
Oh, now Jimmy Hart's getting hit into the turnbuckles.
Oh, Jimmy loves it, doesn't he? He's probably the only one who can come close to Harley Race. Bobby Heenan was a bit of a bump master, but he had to stop all that early, didn't he? Because of his
He
neck.
did, yes. Whereas you see, Jimmy Hart's the one
Was
that
that
kind
pin?
of made. Oh, I've got a feeling. Oh, Nick Patrick looks a bit like aghast. What's happening? No, Nick Patrick saying the shoulder was up.
I'm going
Is
straight
this
to
a
the
dodgy
finish.
Nick Patrick thing?
It
Yeah.
might be a Nick Patrick thing. Although if he's benefiting the dime a dozen heels as well as the New World Order, I don't know where that ties into the storyline that he's an
No.
NWO referee.
Unless Bubba didn't kick out when he should have, then but you can't think
Yeah,
Bubba
that
would do
Patrick's
something
getting
like that.
needle, so it's definitely a Nick Patrick thing. He also seemed to look like crestfallen when his hand did slap Matt for a third time. He was like aghast at the fact that it looked like they had won.
Yeah, that's an angle, isn't it? But yeah, Teddy Long, you blew that call, and of course Teddy Long, formerly a referee.
He knows a lot about blowing calls because he wasn't a good referee. And his meme making talents when it comes to his GMness.
Here we go. Let's have a look at this.
Oh yeah, you could see trailers properly in there, Big Bubba,
Yeah,
to make sure
shoulder
he
came
did that
up,
afterwards. That was all
yes.
storyline, not a botch. And look at the relief on Nick Patrick's face. That was all. It just doesn't make sense if you're making it an NWO thing. Why does he care about helping the Dungeon of Doom and every
We
other
need
heel?
VAR. Are we back with Mean Gene?
Gino is hustling.
You got by the skin of your teeth. So
Big Bubba's just absolutely shameless in taking this as a big win.
yes, Big Bubba should be getting the title shots.
Oh,
He's
calling
talking
out
about
Glacier. It's easy to forget that Ray Traylor is a national treasure.
Why is he wrestling in a cut-off Nitro crew member T-shirt?
Why not? Would be my instant rebuttal.
Fair enough. But it does mean that Big Bubba doesn't get his own merch.
Sullivan says everyone should have listened to him about Hogan.
Ah, yes. Kevin Sullivan round the dinner table. Who'd like a big old spoonful of "I fucking told you so"?
I'll tell you what, there was a little bit. Kerry Sullivan just accused Mean Gene of being on a boat in Sarasota with Hulk Hogan last week, and Mean Gene said that wasn't me, that was Eric Bischoff. And as we're arguing about it, it makes you think, is that like a little nod to what is to come with Eric Bischoff?
But then Sullivan says that he had a bald head. Oh, Sullivan saying that if the Horsemen think they're the last line of defense against Hogan and the NWO, they've got another thing coming. That's Kevin Sullivan, who spent the last year and a half jobbing endlessly to Hulk Hogan. So now we're meant to suddenly take him as a viable guardian of WCW, are we?
Yeah, I just love that skin the teeth finish, and Bubba's just going like, you know, that's another win for me. I'm the best. Everyone's sleeping on me. I want the world title shots.
I believe that is epic shithousery.
Massive fan of it. So here's Luger and Sting, and they're going to talk about this really badly timed challenge. Even Luger says, I thought we had things straightened out here.
They want to gut check them. That's what's happening.
We're not going to have random TNA jobbers show up on this, are we? I couldn't. You know I had to make that reference.
To really impress the crowd, but not get signed to a contract.
Yeah, well, if you're trying to impress Bruce Pritchard, you know you're screwed.
Here comes Sting. Let's see if he loses his train of thought. Sting's hair is now getting really awkward stage, isn't it?
Imagine, I'm trying to imagine like someone who's obviously we were young, we might not have been watching it, but think of an American who has access to live Nitro every week, a little bit older, uh,
Yeah.
watching this, thinking, oh, the look's changing, but just not having a clue what is to come.
Yeah.
You'd still, even at this stage, looking at Sting, you'd never imagine what he would look like in 2 months.
No. But the hair is getting to that crow stage almost, isn't it?
Yeah, but interestingly, Sting was saying after all we've been through, especially considering the fact that Flair turned on Sting a year ago, Sting says
Yes.
that he says that Flair and Anderson should never question their integrity. And it's fair to say that if Sting gets his integrity questioned during the actual match, he would be pretty ticked off, especially if it comes from the guy who is on his side right now.
Yeah.
There's some good stuff going on here, to be fair. Some of it could be done a little bit better, but I can't fault some of the storyline stuff here. If it does keep paying off, and we know it does, but
Mm.
if it does so seamlessly, there's reasons to enjoy these episodes each week, even now.
Hey, look, it's the Mauler.
Can we still call him that? He's lost that as
No,
his
he's
flash
just Mike
graphic.
Enos.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's Mike Enos again. He's got no manager. He's got no nickname. Scott Hall ruined the Mauler's gimmick.
Well, here's the thing. Now, there's a big thing in wrestling about name changes now. A lot of them happening. Not many of them are popular.
Mm.
And when they try to turn a full name into just a surname or into a nickname, that could be bad. It's not always great. But let me ask you this, Dean. If someone goes from having just a surname or a nickname or a moniker and
Yeah.
then goes back to their full name, that's got to be worse because I can't think of an instance where I mean, you got the 1% like Steve Austin, but even then, it still comes with Stone Cold. But if someone just goes back to being plain old their full name from an actual moniker, more often than not, it's the company, like Mike Enos, is the company just saying, screw you.
Mm. Oh yeah, I mean, I think with Mike Enos, the Mauler was only ever meant to be like a one night deal because the idea was this was a big match, and your attention was in the ring, and then all of a sudden Scott Hall shows up and and disrupts everything. It's the same way as how they disrupted their own Nitro show with the Lawn Dart on Rey Mysterio attack.
Yeah, who's your favourite one and done in that respect? Is it Mike Enos not being the Mauler? Is it Brodus Clay looking to be an absolute killer then showing up and dancing? Or is it,
That was good.
or is it that what's his face in NXT who got big hype for his debut and then promptly got destroyed by Samoa Joe and was never seen or heard of again?
Never seen again. Yeah,
Do you not remember that?
yeah. I remember. I can't remember the guy's name, but I
No,
remember
me
exactly
neither.
who you mean. I still think the Mauler was the best of those three because of the long term impact it had. Not for the
Not
Mauler
for
and
him,
Mike
no.
Enos, but for WCW, for the
Collateral
promotion as a whole.
damage.
Exactly. But
Although that
anyway,
be
it's Mike Enos against one of your favourites, Chavo Guerrero, a very young and inexperienced Chavo Guerrero at this point.
Yeah, and it's shown one of those sad realities of wrestling perception in that even though Enos is a complete and utter jobber, and Chavo, while he's nothing great on the totem pole this one, but he's got a hell of an upside. He has been profiled quite well. I think didn't he upset DDP as part of the DDP Eddie storyline?
Quite possibly, yeah, I think
Um,
so.
and because Mike Enos is bigger, muscular, he's dominant. Not just using his power to have the heel control, but he's dominating this match. Whereas there should be a lot more of this being used to show what Chavo can do, what a David can do versus a Goliath. But wrestling can't help itself. Giovanni says, look, it's Conan in the crowd and he's wearing sunglasses. Zabisco goes, nice Ray Charles, isn't it?
Ray Charles.
Jesus Christ.
It did genuinely look like a Conan cutout because he was absolutely motionless.
Showing every bit of personality and charisma that he does on his podcast.
So we've also got Mike Enos's tag partner in Rough and Ready with a towel over his head at ringside. And for the life of me, I can't remember who he is.
It's Taz, isn't it? Towel on head. It's Taz.
It might as well be. But I don't know who. I'm trying to remember. I remember they were the tag team of Rough and Ready.
And I wouldn't dare actually insult Taz because he has been an absolute treat on commentary.
Now, I don't know. That was very strange because Enos went for a power bomb, but then just collapsed with Chavo on top of him, selling his leg. And now Chavo goes for a figure four, and the thumb to the eye of the ref.
Now we're gonna have a 2-on-1.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Dick Slater. There we go. It was a setup all along, Liam.
He's kicking him out of the ring.
Yeah, he's switching places and giving Enos the towel to put over his head.
That's not the issue though here because Enos has a buzz cut and Slater has a full head of hair.
How much attention is the referee paying? Well, he can't see very well because he got thumbed in the
package. Well, you've got to protect Mike fucking Enos.
Well, Chavo. So in true WCW fashion, Chavo pins the wrong guy and wins the match. And the precedent was set surely when Hogan beat Vader the year before by beating Ric Flair on pay-per-view.
I've got to say that was. I mean, we have encountered great matches on Nitro. We've encountered matches that we're like, that just dragged on too long or weren't worth it. That was a complete car wreck. And it's not often that the matches have sunk that badly. It wasn't even that funny. He wants DDP again.
Right. So DDP beat up Eddie Guerrero after a Clash of the Champions match last week.
And it was last week on Nitro. That watch-along we did 2 months ago that he upset DDP.
# 5 concussions.
I don't have that excuse.
No.
Mean Gene's trying to calm Chavo down. He might have him over his knee at this rate.
Well, he's already taken the wind out of the sails of Juventud Guerrero.
Oh, Chavo DDP at full brawl.
Nice. We haven't reviewed Full Brawl 96 yet, have we?
But while there was nothing amazing about that promo, that was good, concise delivery. That was a bit better. Got the points over. Plugged the match that will happen between him and DDP and where it's happening.
Yeah. We've now got a Mean Gene and what I presume is Bobby the Brain Heenan with his back turned, advertising a WCW Monday Nitro t-shirt.
He's got the thing on back to front. Bless him. I've never seen that one before.
No. But then Heenan said that, that he hadn't got his t-shirt on wrong, that he got his head on wrong.
He can't have his head on wrong. He's the Brain.
Oh, we've got Steiners v Nasty Boys on Saturday night. And let's face it, we always know they pound the ever-loving shit out of each other.
Yeah, the tag scene is not a bad one in WCW at this point in the timeline. Oh, it's JL.
Yay! Go to JL. Go straight to JL. Do not pass go. Do not collect £200.
Ha, ha, ha. Very funny, then. Think he might get beat here.
Do you reckon?
Well, thankfully for him, that music is not bringing out Loch Ness,
You
but
say that,
instead
but are
the
you sure?
57th occupier of this music, Rey Mysterio Jr.
Yes, this was rehashed several times.
Can't go wrong with a bit of Rey Mysterio versus Jerry Lynn, though.
No,
Be nice
and
if they.
he just said to the camera, message to Dean Malenko that if he wants that cruiserweight belt, come and get it. So I'm guessing there will be another Mysterio Malenko match. Not that that's a bad thing, and not that we're complaining at all.
It's a shame he didn't say it like Rick Steiner, though. You want some? Come get
Come
some.
get some.
Hopefully these guys get like 6, 7 minutes. No, it'd be silly to ask for more than that, but
Yeah.
give us a fun match, especially after enduring that shower of shit with
I,
Rough
uh,
and
I have to
Ready.
say, talking of the Steiners, I was disappointed at how tame Scott Steiner's Hall of Fame speech was. I mean, I knew it wouldn't be anything controversial, but come on, you've got years, decades worth of stories, and the best thing you can come up with is the Macho Man trying to get cows to come to you.
Yeah, I know everyone was really hoping universally for a "give me a fucking mic" or something like that at the very least.
Or even that, there was a 33 and a third chance of him getting in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, gotta be Steiner math, isn't there?
Yeah. Okay, so this is a cruiserweight match that's got off to a slower start because we've got more experienced cruiserweights. Yeah, when you compare this match to Kidman and Hoovy, it's chalk and cheese at the moment, but that is for a reason. These are the voices of experience playing here. This will build up, no doubt.
Yeah, well, it's the champion, and even though he's a young champion, you got to play into the fact that he understands the gravitas of the role and the title he's defending,
Mm.
presumably.
Oh, Shivani's being informed of something in his ear.
Oh,
Ah, there you go. So Mysterio and JL is just the match in the ring, so that they can go to Hulk Hogan instead.
why couldn't Mike fucking Enos have been this match again? Look, they've even got a Hall in double denim. Oh, this is the infamous one. This is where everyone has been freeze framing Hogan at N. So I think anyone who's aware of Hogan's
Yes,
controversies and will be aware of what a still of this episode has been used for many times. And now we know
yes.
which episode it's from.
So they are spray painting the truck, the WCW production truck, with the letters NWO for life.
And unfortunately, those did try and run this storyline for life. And the spray paint's so ineffective, they're having to give it a second coat.
Yeah, he didn't put the primer down, did he?
Yeah. Shoddy workmanship. 3 out of 10.
Yeah.
Must do better.
Okay, so we're going back to in the ring, and yeah, we they're saying that there's Shivani just saying on commentary there that there isn't a fourth man in the NWO for War Games. It is just the three of them. Because even though, if you remember, Rey Mysterio saying there was a fourth person that when he got attacked in Orlando in Disney, we have only seen the three of them. We have not seen anyone else join the NWO just yet.
Yeah, and also we saw Rey Mysterio come out of a trailer fresh, dive on Kevin Nash and then get thrown head first into it. At which point he was out of it. So they
Yes.
really didn't think that part through, which is a shame. I mean, obviously the piece was world famous nonetheless, but there
Yeah.
were a lot of little bits about it they could have really worked on. Even though we cut it some slack for how long the angle ran and how it dried up the show. It could have dried up the show a little less and still squeezed in more stuff. And a lot of things really weren't just a little off. And they're trying to foreshadow in the fourth man, but it didn't work there, did it?
No. And a flip plancher from Rey Mysterio Jr. And Malenko is out looking. Malenko is out on the aisle looking on, scouting the match.
Yeah, you can't just say his name and expect no consequence.
And now Rey is distracted because he is looking over at Malenko and not focusing on his opponent. And this is a title match, I believe. So if he doesn't pay attention, he could end up losing his belt.
Well, they're not going the 3-minute sprint route either.
No.
JL's offering him the amateur wrestling stance. This is different.
Mm.
They are shooting, brother.
And the crowd aren't quite into it yet. But as I said, I think this is going to be a slow burner build up.
They're getting the crowd involved, and Joe's playing a little bit of a heelish role here, but interacting with the crowd just every time it works. That's what I'd like to see more of. I don't mind breathless, action-packed matches, but you can easily squeeze in some crowd interaction during it.
Yeah, and JL is definitely going more heelish because Rey Mysterio went into the amateur stance to reflect what JL had done, and when Mysterio went into the amateur stance, JL just put the boots to him in the double axe handle across the back of the head. Got a few boos from the crowd and a big sit down power bomb and a 2 count.
It'd be interesting if we were ever to get Jerry Lynn on this podcast. This would be an interesting thing to talk about because he gets a rare opportunity to be the bigger guy, to do some heelish things, and I've seen him play the heel a couple of times post WCW, and he's not terrible at it. But with the mask, he gets to just easily go to these classic little tropes of rule breaking. It must have just been a nice change of pace compared to what he
Yeah,
was hired to do most of the time.
definitely. So he's body slammed Ray and he's now turned him over and leaving him up into a Boston Crab. And again, the size difference there is going to, mean that Ray should be selling it a lot, which he is.
Some good submission work here. It's the crowd were kind of getting into some of the cheating and jail during with them. They're kind of drifting out of the more technical aspects. This is basically where wrestling crowds are at this point in time, obviously. But they're giving these two time, and it's been good so far.
Yeah. And I'm waiting. I know at some point it's going to burst into the aerial action that we know he is capable of.
Oh,
And
got
just
the
a 2 count.
dynamite. The dynamite stick is on screen.
We are less than a minute away.
Do you think Tony Khan was watching an episode of Nitro from this era and got to the hour mark when he decided to name his show Dynamite? Because I'm not even
Possibly.
mocking. I'd really like that to be the truth.
Did he name it after Dynamite Kid? Who knows? Hey, maybe if we could get Tony Khan on here.
Well, he does regularly speak to the Zone.
No. And it's our number 2. The pyro is going off in the middle of this match. No camera is focusing on the ring. Hopefully they're in a rest hold. And Eric Bischoff and Bobby Heenan have taken over the commentary.
But what I want to know is, was Eric Bischoff on the yacht in Sarasota?
Wow. That is a question that will never be answered. Or will it? So the pace is picking up a little bit now.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting booking to do, to have them do like the slow start of a long match, and then they're picking up the pace purposefully at this point. But obviously they don't feel any pressure from WWE because of the preempting, to the point where they put Mike Enos out there.
But it's interesting. This is the match that they've got going into the second hour, because the top of the hour you'd think is when people will be flicking channels and seeing what's on. And all due respect to these guys, but they are not the most recognizable stars. I mean, obviously now totally different matter with Rey Mysterio, but back in '96, Rey Mysterio was not the global icon that he is now.
Oh, it's just being established. He's got his title reign, but there's a lot of work to do for sure. Ooh.
And springboard Hurricane Rana, but JL didn't land quite right and looked like he landed quite nasty on the back of his head, which made the move look all the more effective.
Yeah, I mean that's the time to finish a match.
He's calling out Malenko again.
He says, "Where are you? Come here. I'll challenge you for the belt right now." Why would anyone, babyface or not, say that? You just had a match. Come on now.
Yeah.
Oh, woman is all over Mean Gene.
Yep. Sound the klaxon.
Oh. Will Mongo go back to the Bears? I hope so.
So we have now got a promo about Benoit and McMichael demanding a match with Sting and Luger. Who's doing genuinely? Mongo is doing so well.
He lost his train of thought, and then he recovered by going NWO.
So Mean Gene now talking to Benoit, and woman is stroking Mean Gene's chin and leaning over as she's going to kiss him, and Mean Gene is trying to tell her to stop while trying to listen to Benoit at the same time.
Yeah, and Deborah is attempting to do the personality and the posturing for both her and Elizabeth.
Yes.
She was always quite a natural for that side of things, to be fair.
Indeed, yes.
I mean,
see, I want to say, like, how about the sinister intensity of Benoit, but obviously, given what happened in real life with him later, I feel quite awkward saying that. But
yeah,
from a purely wrestling storyline perspective, there, he is looking quite intimidating.
yeah, it's a shame he can't speak into a microphone though, because it was very hard to make out what the bloody hell he was saying.
Yes.
So there's that. So, have you seen? I'm going to put this out on the night we're recording, so I feel comfortable doing this. Have you seen the news this afternoon, Dean, about 1PW returning on Fight?
I have, yes.
Yeah. So, how are you feeling about that?
I wish them the best of luck. They did approach me about it, and I said that it wasn't something I was interested in getting involved in. My life is somewhat different now, and travelling up and down the length of the country to Doncaster isn't something that is something I'm interested in right now. But yeah, wishing them the best of luck. I think if anything that gets people talking positively about British wrestling can only be a good thing. So yeah, best of luck to them.
Yeah, they weren't willing to pay you the DNAS money, were they?
It was nothing to do with that. I
DNAS does not get out of bed for less
for
than seven
less.
figures.
No, it was something I did back at a different time of my life, and yeah, I'm not much of a traveller these days. I'm 15 years older than I was.
Yeah. Why can't I just do
So
more shows on the South Coast, Dean? That's what I want to know.
I know that's what I want to know. So we've got a recap here of the Giant and Randy Savage. Savage wearing your favourite tights.
Yeah, he does love that set, doesn't he? He's the
Yeah,
only one. So, I mean, they must have known that we were going to, like, 15, 16 years later, that we were going to have a big gap between two episodes of Watchalong. And they're really recapping the last episode of Nitro on this episode.
it's very good of them.
Very kind
Well,
of them.
yeah, very kind of them. I mean, in all seriousness, as we've said, this is an unopposed Nitro, so they're really getting their shit in as far as like putting the main storylines over, and
Without actually wearing out the live appearances of the main storyline participants.
mm,
Mean Gene, on the
but
other hand, is
I was
getting
just
his
about to
reps
say,
in.
if Mean Gene gets paid by the appearance, then he is raking it in today.
He'll be on Dean AS money.
He will be on TNA Month.
Ah. So that's interesting. We've got Full Brawl coming up, but they have announced the world title match to come on the following pay-per-view, which makes sense because they'll both be in War Games. Or will they be? No, Savage won't be. And the Savage is not in War
Savage
Games.
won't
Ignore
be.
me.
No,
But
Savage
obviously,
won't be, but Hogan will be.
War Games will obviously consume Full Brawl. But yeah,
Yeah. And yeah, the world champion will be in War Games, so the title isn't being defended there. So you assume, unless Hogan is defending it before Halloween Havoc, that we've got this match where the result is no doubt going to be the same. We're thinking about this point in time in the WWF? I don't think Savage ever beat Hogan. I don't know if I'm not sure if he did in WCW. He might have done once, but as good as the Hogan Savage matches were, they never grabbed me in the fact that I never thought that Hogan would lose. You know what I mean?
yeah. Did he ever actually give him a single bloody win?
I'm not sure. I'm gonna see if I can find out. And I can hear music that can only be Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Yeah, Hacksaw, who was he's just done a Goldberg entrance.
Blimey.
Goldberg stole his entrance from Hacksaw Jim Duggan. He just walked through the same sort of pyro that Goldberg has.
Yeah, because Goldberg hasn't debuted yet, has he? On here?
Hmm. And now we've got him confirmed as a massive plagiarist. So yeah, Savage and Duggan were sharing some ring time for a promo that was recapped, and Savage was obviously going haywire on the Dungeon of Doom, and here we've got Jim Duggan versus the Giant. which, if I remember correctly, was run on a previous Nitro at some point in
Yes, it
'96,
was.
and was not good. I remember
Well,
correctly, that Giant gave him far too much, if I recall, considering,
yeah, it went on too long, didn't it?
and the usual Duggan being a heel and taping his
Ah,
and
yes.
all that BS.
Taping his fist up. Yeah, that's right.
Can we get a chokeslam 1, 2, 3? Oh, he's going for the. I thought he was going to hit him with a 2x4 then.
So here is the young, slim, lithe giants of old. But let's face it, if there's one person who will know how to work this exact kind of match, it is Duggan. You know, he had a long feud with Andre the Giant back in the day.
Jimmy Hart has tripped Duggan up immediately in this match. So we're going straight
Duggan
to the
chasing after,
shenanigans.
yeah, Jimmy Hart being chased around the ring by Duggan, who has got the giant got Hart's jacket and has just thrown it in the Giant's face to unsight him, and is then laying in the punches, just windmilling him with both hands.
With the Giant doing his best Leslie Nielsen impersonation, holding the jacket on his face.
Yes. So it is at the moment all Duggan.
Albeit in a stick and move kind of way, to be fair.
Yes. And Heenan is saying he doesn't know if the Giant will be able to choke slam Duggan because he's about 300 pounds. But as we've said, hasn't he already been choke slammed by the Giant on a
Yeah.
previous Nitro?
I mean, this is generally why they ran Tenay and Heenan as co-color commentators, because one would obviously bring the humour and the timing and the heel tendencies, and the other one would bring the actual knowledge.
Yes. Now the Giant has guillotined Duggan across the top rope. Duggan's gone down, and now the Giant is in charge.
Yeah. Eric Bischoff claiming that the fourth man is just smoke and mirrors.
What, Cody Rhodes?
Pat,
By the way, do you know how long that Rey Mysterio JL match went?
11 minutes.
14 minutes.
Oh, very
and
good.
4 seconds.
I thought it was good. The finish was relatively abrupt for the trajectory they were going, but it was a good match. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I was going to ask you, what did you make of Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania?
Excellent. I thought an excellent match.
I'm not even sure if we've had a proper episode since the news broke, to be honest. It might have been around that last non-Scott Hall tribute episode that the news broke that he was leaving AEW. But to be honest, it kind of almost feels a natural thing that he would be going back. He, out of all the breakaway guys who helped Tony Khan head up this new alternative, he was, oh, here we go.
Oh,
I'll
hello.
finish that thought shortly because Ted DiBiase has just shown up.
The crowd are going crazy. So obviously they can't call him the $1 Million Man, but they can call him Ted DiBiase because that's his real name.
Yeah, and they can insinuate that he has plenty of funds to be a prominent financial backer, which I like.
Indeed.
I like it when, we're just talking about Cody Rhodes. I'm happy he's still got his persona that he built away from WWE. I'm glad that the little things like Malachi Black keeping the eye aspect of his I don't like it when wrestlers have to hit the reset button on all their hard work. And we have to hit the reset button as fans as a result.
Well, Duggan taped the fist up, and the Giant is no selling the big punch. And the referee just allowing it to happen. Nick Patrick as well allowing it to happen. Jimmy Hart's now got up on the apron, grabbing the 2x4. And there's a tug of war over it. And Duggan has now walked straight into the choke slam.
Oh, just got him. It wasn't a clean one. but the finish was good. The landing was good.
Yeah.
Nick Patrick puts himself in the worst position to count shoulders down.
So DiBiase held up 1, 2, 3, 4 fingers, and then went next week and held up a 5th. So that is insinuating that I'm guessing he is the 4th member of the NWO and the 5th is coming. Although Bischoff has said, is he a 5th horseman?
Yeah,
the 5 horsemen of the apocalypse.
but obviously there was a big dramatic pause from 4 to 5, so it does tie in. It could be potential speculation that he is joining them, especially as he's a non-wrestler at this point.
Yes. Okay, so we got a giant promo as Mean Gene continues to earn his corn. And by the way, talking about AEW as we were just then, in a couple of matches' time, we have the debut on Nitro of a young wrestler called Chris Jericho. Whatever happened to him, eh?
See, Giant is claiming that Savage is not going to advance to Halloween Havoc. He is. Now, they've not said anything about their 4-brawl match being like with a winner moving on, but I feel like when Ted DiBiase's promise of a 5th man next week comes to fruition, this is all going to look a bit silly. Because I've got to say, I mean, we're not spoiling anything here, let's be honest. The choice of a 5th man was a really, really strange one. And it just didn't fit, and he was out of the group 3 months later.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, it's going to make next week's episode interesting whenever we get around to it in like 2024. So September 15th would mean we've got 2 more Nitros. Is that right?
This is the 26th, so we'll have
2 more Nitros.
10, 11, 1, 2, yeah. September the 2nd, September the 9th, yeah.
And I can't believe this. The Rock and Roll Express are coming out to Jamie Noble's music.
Is this Jamie Noble's music?
Don't get me wrong. I mean, this music has been used by about 100 different WCW performers. I don't know why I just tie it so hard to Jamie Noble. It was always also when you watch these watch-alongs, you hear it more commonly on that WCW magazine advert where the little boy dressed like Sting suddenly morphs into Sting himself.
Ah, yes. I remember that. And we have Flair's music. So it's Flair. This will be Flair and Anderson, no doubt.
Yep. Woman is here and she's ready to cheat. Sorry?
Haven't we already had this match? Flair and Anderson.
We absolutely have. They're getting a bit knackered now, aren't they?
Maybe being unopposed and being the 50th episode, this is a best of.
Yeah, we just don't notice.
Yeah. It's the banquet table here.
And Flair's making threats to Hogan. He's just been a glorious douchebag of not just a heel but a top heel. But yeah, at War Games he's going to be glorious shithousery.
Excellent.
DiBiase's nodding his head, trying to play into that little tease of which 4 or 5 he is.
Yeah. Yeah, is he the 5th member of a 4-person group, or is he the 4th member of a current 3-person group? It isn't clear, deliberately not clear.
Heenan's doing a good job of just really playing up the gravitas of Ted DiBiase. If he's here, big things are popping.
Yeah.
Reminds me of Bobby Roode's NXT promise to have all of the riffraff in the crowd replaced by CEOs and high flyers.
Yeah.
Ted DiBiase trying to start that in 1996, which I thought was a great. I can't believe it took till 2016 for someone to run that line in a heel promo. I'm gonna make sure all the top 1%ers in life come to this show, and you guys can't come, you filthy riffraff.
So we've started off with Arn Anderson against Ricky Morton. And a blind tag is made. But the referee counted Morton making the pinfall, even though Gibson's the legal man. So that either means he didn't see the tag.
It was also a really poor attempt at doing a blind tag off the ropes by the Rock and Rolls, to be fair.
Yeah. And there's an inadvertent Arn Anderson lookalike in the crowd there that Flair just walked past. I don't know if you clocked that. So now we've gone to Flair v Gibson.
And you can tell by the woos in the crowd, yeah, it may as well be Horseman country.
Yeah.
You're definitely in the right ballpark, so to speak.
Yeah. Woos every blow that Flair lands.
He's strangely shown no signs of cheating yet. He must just be warming up. At least put a thumb in his eye for no reason, please. I think woman must be on some sort of 12 steps program. She's not even reached that for a leg yet, and we're well into the 2.5 minute mark of this match.
Something's not right there.
Here we go. Come on, woman. There we go. Good girl. There we go.
Everything is better again.
She couldn't stay on the wagon for too long.
She couldn't help herself. I heard it's a disease.
Good bit of random cheating for you there.
I mean, obviously, nothing will beat Flair making the cover with his feet on the ropes against the guy he's just knocked out with brass knucks and then raking the eyes at the end for good measure.
We'll bring this up on every watch along episode, and I refuse to apologise for that. That was one. My only regret was not making a clear timestamp of exactly what Nitro was. We're going to have to go back and get clipped. We owe it to ourselves to find the moment.
We owe it to wrestling.
There will be an evening where we'll have a little preliminary conversation on WhatsApp, Dean, and we'll say, should we do a podcast tonight? Should we do a podcast? And then right at the last minute, we'll decide not to record a podcast for our fans, but to instead track down that episode. We'll devote the evening to that instead of giving them more hashtag content.
I seem to remember it was either a tag or a 6-man shortly after Mongo had joined the Horsemen.
Was it that recent?
I might be wrong. I might be completely wrong.
We have to find it.
DDT from Arn.
One of the best in the game.
Oh, yeah. And that's the match.
And I'm glad it wasn't a long match, especially when you know who's going to win. The whole sight of seeing these four go at it, there was no. I remember this because the reason we recalled them doing this before was because we remember how cool it was to see this. Seeing it again, it's just there's no novelty there. So thankfully, it didn't last very long, and the Rock and Rolls really didn't even get any offense in. I think Flair ran very successful singles feuds with either one or both of these in the 80s, didn't he?
Yeah, him and Ricky Morton and the Great American Bash tour, when they used to do the tours around the country. I can't remember exactly what year it was, in the late 80s. And just Gene losing his shit with Woman.
And Elizabeth getting involved to her credit, so there's nothing I can do to control her, Gene. She's found her coin in life. Arn Anderson's telling him off Rogan and women, and he's done nothing wrong. It's all
Poor
woman.
Gene. Yeah, if this was modern day, there would be lawsuits, there'd be consultations with HR going on, wouldn't there?
Mm. I mean, Gene would probably get blamed, bless him.
Poor mean Gene. Gene mean.
He deserves it for running that seedy hotline, though.
Mean Gene is CD come-ons to the hotline. Yeah, we are entering the period now where we're going to start seeing talk about DiBiase there. We're going to start seeing weekly new members joining the NWO. So they're going to start, as of next week, they're going to start increasing their numbers.
Yeah, I believe it was Eric Bischoff joining their side in November that really opens the floodgates, because he makes that open call that you're either with us or against us. We want everyone to join us.
Yeah,
And I know a lot of people don't agree with that, but for me, it was important that they did, like, the takeover needs to be successful, and they become the thing you hate, where they're just full of all these numbers, so that then the popular baby faces of WCW can then reinvade back.
yeah.
Ideally, you got an excuse for the Horsemen to be evil Horsemen, but against all of this rank and file NWO to try and get to the main three. You've got Sting from the rafters. You've got DDP from the crowd, and woman is all over Gene.
And Flair has gone full Flair, and the crowd are loving it. The moment Flair started talking, the crowd popped. And as you said, Liam, we are in Florida, but we might as well be in, Greensboro, North Carolina or somewhere.
We are in the suburbs of Horseman country, aren't we?
We are indeed.
And deep in the heart of Florida man territory.
Florida man.
Another guy. We are spoiled. We get two promos of Glacier waving a stick.
Excellent.
This is a golden age for Glacier promos.
Well, I never thought it would be. We'd label the time as that.
Yeah, you did. You knew I had it in me. It was only a matter of time. Oh, is this Chris Jericho and his favourite all-time entrance music? Read least favourite.
Yeah, here's Jericho.
So is this his first TNT appearance?
This is Nitro debut for sure. I
Yeah,
don't
there you
know
go.
if he.
Because the tie I want to make is specifically to TNT, and to think of the what followed after that.
Mm.
Alex Wright versus Chris Jericho has a lot of potential. I'll give him that
Yeah,
much. Could be one
and
hell of a
they.
dance contest as well.
And I've got a feeling they would be familiar with each other from Germany because Jericho did some German tournaments, and Alex Wright, I'm pretty sure, would have been there as well.
This is the good part of having wrestlers go about and get their reps in at a bunch of places.
Yeah, because you're debuting in a new environment. You're totally new company, new environment. So make something familiar with your opponent.
Hopefully, this is also a benefit of having a bit of a multiverse open up with various companies working together. We've seen Progress, Ring of Honor, all work like New Japan. We know that WWE won't really operate on that sort of style. Closest they got was by running like NXT, NXT UK, but they're veering away from even that now to the extent of where it was. But we're getting a nice little multiverse that allows some serious talent rotation.
Mm. And we have the equivalent of an indie standoff.
Got to get their shit in, Dean.
Yep.
Well, it's also known as the babyface stalemate, isn't it?
Yes.
You know, they're both nice guys. They're both fairly middling, not really significant on the totem pole.
Well, not yet. Not at this stage. Obviously, debut for Jericho, but he would go on to be a pretty big character in WCW, and an even bigger character elsewhere, of course.
Oh, Jericho with a very early ask him. Ask him! Some things are just evergreen, aren't they?
Yeah.
Will we get the 1 foot cover? Probably not, but I can wish, can't I?
I don't think we would, this time, but
One
but
of
who
the
knows?
things that got me into being a Chris Jericho fan from the start was the arrogant cover.
But never, and it's that great thing of heels like the Ted DiBiase middle rope back elbow. It literally never, ever, ever works. The Ric Flair going up to the top never, ever, ever worked, but they would still go for it every single match without fail.
But with that 1 foot cover, that's what made it so great. He wasn't expecting to get the win. He just wanted to be a massive dickhead. Huge fan of that.
Once again, epic shithousery.
I was going to say something like there's not enough dickheads in wrestling, but to be honest, you go behind the curtain, you realise that's not the case. Not including you, Dean, obviously.
Well,
Everyone's a
thank you.
dickhead except for you. You're great.
That's about fair enough, yeah. Chris Jericho, the young lion. Now, he'd been, am I right in thinking, I'm just getting the timeline right, he'd been in Smoky Mountain by this point. He'd been in ECW by this point.
Yeah.
He's now
fresh out of ECW.
Yeah, because he was in War, the legendary Wrestle and Romance in Japan first off.
Around 95, that was.
Yeah.
Smoky Mountain was probably before that. But then you'd imagine that they were able to splice their American and Japanese bookings. Most wrestlers did. That's what led to the legendary Sabu situation in ECW, didn't it? When there was a clash and he favoured Japan. So they clearly do try and go back and forth, which makes sense.
Yeah, he where Sabu surprisingly chose the people who actually paid him on time.
But also, Japan usually runs like 6-week tours of events, don't they?
Yes.
With a set crew that lead to a big event, and then they start over and see who's available for the next swing. And then obviously, like wrestling indies don't work like in America. They don't work a rigid weekly setup. They'd run a show maybe once a month, maybe once every 2 months. So I suppose wrestlers would cut. You're right. They'd covet that Japanese money and the stability of a 6-week tour, and then during their breaks, they'll see what bookings they can pick up in America.
Yeah,
I would presume.
So yeah, just looking at Jericho here, 94 was Smoky Mountain, and Wrestle Association R. It was renamed. But yeah, and in Japan.
That's like RB Leipzig all over again, isn't it?
Yeah, and a little bit of CMLL as well. Then War and CMLL in 95. I think there must have been ECW in there as well somewhere at that time that hasn't been listed here, but so what's happening here? We've got babyface Jericho not wanting to win.
Yeah, and bear in mind this is late '96. We're already starting to see the signs of the shades is grey and the attitude and all that.
Yeah,
this is not a winning angle. This reminds me of Kurt Angle's debut, although that was deliberately done to get people to turn on him. And Jericho wouldn't turn heel for another 15 months.
And that is a very European finish. Like as I was saying before about the accidental finishes.
Yeah. Well, Mean Gene thinks it's a breath of fresh air.
Yeah. So Jericho is very much the honourable babyface.
Oh, he's going to call someone out here. Oh, of course, we've got the pooch effect for the Hulk
Yeah,
Hogan New World Order.
absolutely. Jericho coming across as the ultra sincere babyface, which, as you say, is lending itself to a heel turn at that point.
And Mean Gene just casually went to Alex Wright. He said, "Sorry, we ain't got time for you to talk."
Yeah.
If anything, there could have been a catalyst for Alex Wright to turn heel. It's like, who are you calling the match on me out of sympathy, you condescending prick? Why won't they let me talk on the mic? Why are you speaking on my behalf? I'd have taken a win like that. Fuck you. Smack him with a chair. Alex Wright could have been a brilliant heel from that moment.
Mm. So we've now gone straight into a new match without any intros, which is the Steiner brothers against the Blue Bloods. And the Blue Bloods in this instance are Bobby Eaton and Dave Taylor.
And they're both refusing to start the match.
They're just arguing with one another.
And Rick Steiner's having none of it, as you can imagine.
And just smacks their heads together.
So that's a novel way of starting a tag team match. But yeah, this team ain't going to last, is it?
Clearly not.
It is to clarify, it's the non-Blackpool Combat Club edition of the Blue Bloods.
Yes.
There's no Regal.
It's the Blue Bloods B team, isn't it?
Well, at least one of them's British.
True.
50% ratio's not terrible. So they're actually gonna. Well, I thought it might be like a quick Steiner squash based on that finish, but no, they're gonna evolve into a plodding match here. Fantastic.
Well, you can't squash Bobby Eaton. He's Bobby Eaton, for God's sake.
You most certainly can squash Bobby, and I'm pretty certain he has been. And I don't think he gave a rat's arse either. He was the utmost professional.
I think, I mean by that, the other guy wouldn't want to squash Bobby Eaton because they hold him in too much respect.
Maybe, but that other person, whoever it may be, probably really loves money and knows that like a dominant squash win usually raises your stock. Still arguing.
Yep. I can't quite make out what they're saying, but
It's almost like
the
Larry
Steiners are
Zbyszko.
getting...
Now that Larry Zbyszko's not commentating, it's almost like he's morphed into this match with the amount of stalling they're doing.
Oh, Taylor now getting in, I think. Yeah. And Taylor was meant to go up against Scott Steiner, and he's now demanded that Rick gets back in the ring. So it's Rick against Taylor, and the crowd, much like the Hall of Fame ceremony, the crowd are barking.
Yeah, and to Dave Taylor's credit, recognised that there was a good bit of interaction with the crowd in previous matches. He's really milking it. This crowd are there. They wanna be involved in the show.
Oh, and a miscommunication, and then Taylor has accidentally hit Eaton. That's not going to help things between the two of them.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that the Blue Bloods are going to be deaded. Are they going for a Steiner Bulldog? Oh, Doomsday
I was going to
device.
say they're doing this. They're doing the Steiner's move.
Oh wow, that's a finish I've never seen before.
Work too well. That could have. I've seen them do that a lot better. But basically, Rick Steiner caught Bobby Eaton, kind of flipped over, landed on top of him, and pinned him.
So yeah, it was like a Doomsday crossbody block, and it's flipped almost like, who is it who does a four-way slam but follows through and lands on top? Someone does that, and it almost resembled that. Look, flips over like a moonsault fall away slam off of the shoulders.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
1996, Dean. That's
I
quite
mean,
incredible to see.
there's the Spanish Fly that the SAT did and Paul Burchill did, which is a little bit like that. But I
Similar,
know what you mean.
yeah.
There's someone who did the moonsault. Yeah.
Moonsault
Oh, I
fall
think
away slam. Oh,
yeah.
here we go.
I think the Blue Bloods have split up.
What gave the game away, Dean?
I don't know. Just a
Is
gut feel.
It's just the fact that they're exchanging right hands right now in the ring. I'm getting. Did Dave Taylor stick around?
Yeah, I think he did.
And is that Rick Steiner cheering on Bobby on the mic?
I think it is.
Yeah, the Steiners were meant to do an interview afterwards with me and Gene, and now they're kind of just commentating on the brawl, which is a novel touch.
And Taylor has made his escape.
I feel like the Steiners are actually on opposing sides of this.
The Steiners have done the opposite of helping break it up. They've literally pushed Taylor back into the confrontation.
So it's going to be the Steiners and Harlem Heat at Full Brawl. Funny enough, I feel like they wrestled them at Full Brawl 97 as well. So we say about WWE being repetitive with their matchmaking. This is a strange promo.
Scott's talking about going cock-a-doodle-doo.
Well, if Macho Man is not here on the show to be on the Good Coke, then at least Rick and Scott can partake in the Good Coke.
Someone's got to be out of control, haven't they?
Yeah, it's in the contract. And Harley Race has to take a bump.
Yes.
You thought I'd forgotten about that one, haven't you?
Can never forget that.
So, yeah, that just leaves the main event, right?
Yes. So, Benoit McMichael v. Luger and Sting.
It's the match that has suddenly come about 1 week after Benoit and McMichael were okay with this turn of events. Heenan's cutting a pro Flair and Horseman promo against the NWO.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's hard to emphasize enough that, you know, Heenan's a heel, and this to me, as far as I remember, was the first time that you ever had heels cutting promos against other heels, because there was the heels within WCW and the heels outside of WCW, if you see what I mean. And it was like these two levels of it all. And it was at that time, it was totally unique.
Yeah, and as I've said before, it's one thing I've always had a soft spot for is when a heel turns face. Preferably, they don't suddenly start being a happy, smiling babyface. I like seeing the reason that heels are heels, but they are directing it towards other, more despicable heels.
Precisely.
Always a fan of that dynamic. Never fails, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I've mentioned this before. But I've said this to someone previously on the British scene when they turned babyface and they're like, "What do I do now?" And I said, "Do exactly what you did before. You're just doing it to different people."
Yeah, maybe just show a little bit of self-reflection at times in promos. I would say a little, just a little bit of a self-awareness and acknowledgement of the situation. Obviously, you put the elaborate cheating away, but then there's a way to do that as well, right? You know, if you see,
Well, look at Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah, not just that though. Like you'll have a, a recently turned face against the heel in a feud, and there's quite a gratifying situation you have if the actual heel obviously initiates the cheating, and you get that turnabout is fair play by someone who obviously knows how to be a devious bastard.
Yeah.
Speaking of William Regal earlier, for instance, you'll remember when he was turning that sort of heelishness and his whole history onto Triple H and Evolution that time, and he kind of acknowledged it and said he was basically going to show them what a true villain is, and it popped the crowd big because of that whole element.
Yeah, definitely. Right, we have got off to a very fast start here in our main event. A four-man brawl in the ring. We've got Benoit and Sting have paired up, and Luger and Michael have paired up. What are the odds that Sting went straight to Benoit and thought, fuck that, I'm not working with Mongo?
But I do want to know, however, what is the deal between Sting and Lex Luger?
Well, they're on the same page now, Liam.
Oh,
That ship has sailed. Sorry.
fuck. Sorry, I'm
Yeah,
late, aren't I?
yeah,
I've shown up to the party just as they're cleaning up.
yeah. They're mopping the sick up, and you've just turned up with a bottle.
To clarify, it is not my sick. Probably Dean's. He could never hold his
Probably.
liquor.
No. My liquor. We're suddenly American, are we?
No, I'm talking. You were drinking pints of the sauce that comes with pie mash,
Uh,
which is why you were sick. I mean, who does
which is
that?
why I was sick. Yeah, exactly. What was I thinking? And Mongo with a NFL style pump to the ribs of Luger, and he tags out, and in comes Benoit. Short clothesline.
So, yeah, I mean, we can get into this narrative a little bit. That I mean, this match makes sense if Benoit and McMichael were a little more resistant of the idea of being replaced on War Games. Or you maybe put it on, the winner of this match will be the last two members. I don't know, but
Yeah.
you've still got something to work with here, even if it's done a little bit clumsily.
You could have done, yeah. I mean, you could have done this as this match decides who is in there, and then you've got the situation of Flair and Anderson at ringside. You know, do they interfere? Do they sit back and watch what happens?
Yeah, that would have been
That
good.
kind of thing.
And then
Yeah.
when they had that thing, because I did pay a little bit of compliment to the whole where they both said, if that's what the bosses, Flair and Arn want, that's what we'll do. They could have maybe
Yeah.
said that a little bit more gritted teeth. Maybe have one who's really holding out on it, and they're kind of like, because you could imagine like Mongo being the talker, being the more vocal one. He'd be like, "Nah, this stinks. We want to go in
Yeah.
it. We respect that you give the orders, but no, pick us, pick us." You could do a little bit more with it, but we are nitpicking. To be fair, this is a good time for storytelling at the minute. Otherwise, we've touched upon the positives as well.
So Luger is on the receiving end of a lot of offense, punches, kicks, mainly from Benoit. Ducks a clothesline and a double clothesline. We've got a double down, both guys down.
Can you smell a hot tag, Dean?
Sting reaching out for the tag. Luger on rubber legs, but he gets it. And in comes Sting, House of Fire. And now Benoit in all manner of trouble. Big back body drop.
And
Mongo staying on the safety of his tag rope.
yeah, and enjoy this babyface fire from Sting, Dean, because we don't have too many more of these, if any, for a
No.
while on the watch-alongs.
Oh, Mongo, Sting went for the Scorpion Deathlock. Mongo tried to stop him and ended up being thrown out the ring. And yeah, Luger is in trouble.
And he's just
Sting
gone
went
into the
for a splash
post.
off the top. Yeah, Luger went into the post. Sting just went for a splash off the top, and Benoit got the knees up.
Oh, and here come the
Benoit
order.
Yeah, Benoit went for the headbutt and missed. And yeah, as you say, here comes the order. Hogan's out.
He's been seen by McMichael and he's begging off, which seems like a ruse for a blindside.
Yeah. Interesting that we haven't got the NWO t-shirts just yet. We've just got Hogan in a black t-shirt with NWO spray painted on in white letters.
Which actually looks better, to be fair.
Yeah,
But I understand the merchandise money to be made.
exactly, yes. But Michael's been completely distracted. Oh, and then Scott Hall just appeared. Excuse me. Here's Nash as well.
It was weird because Hogan backed off and lured McMichael to where he would see Hall and Nash coming, whereas before he had his back turned to where they came from. But again, you're giving me lots of reasons to nitpick, but I am admittedly nitpicking.
Yeah, and they've just spray painted NWO onto Michael's back. So the whole match has just ended as nothing. A razor's edge or outsider edge on Benoit, and a jackknife powerbomb on Sting from Nash. And again, NWO being spray painted on people's backs.
And they're all getting a spray paint treatment.
So basically,
here Flair and Anderson.
Yeah. So basically, we have the two warring sides in that match have now been unified by the NWO.
And I'll tell you what, they're paying off the fact that this crowd is into the Horsemen by having them come and run the save here. This is a great finish. I've got a funny feeling it's not going to be the finish, but it should be.
Oh, and he sprayed the spray can in Flair's face.
They should have had the Hills just take a powder at this point, I think. That's such a shame.
Yeah, but we're now getting the visual of Ric Flair having a black stripe painted on his blonde hair. Ric Flair has now been made to look like a badger. That's not a sentence I thought I'd ever say.
Is he like a real badger, or is he the badger that throws mashed potato everywhere? Did you ever think I'd get a Bodrum Badger reference onto this show?
Badger reference. And the rubbish, the trash, as our transatlantic cousins would say, is flying in the ring. You're right. This is Horseman territory.
And yeah, as we would learn, WCW as a company hated the whole concept of all this debris coming on a regular basis, but they created this situation, invited it to happen. Whereas it had that amazing effect at Bash at the Beach, it's also diminishing returns.
Yeah.
And we've not seen a single shot of Ted DiBiase. There's no evidence that he's still in his seat at this point.
No,
so they're keeping that vague and open-ended, which is good. Yeah, that pop for Flair and Anderson making a babyface save was something else.
Yeah.
Oh, and they're coming over to the commentary position. Heenan has already bowed because I heard him say on it he's out of there. This is the first time they've taken over the commentary booth? Because this would happen a lot, wouldn't it?
Yes. And Hogan is spray painting NWO over the WCW logo. So yeah, we've got chaos in the booth, chaos in the ring. We are coming to the end of Nitro. There is obviously no sign off because they have run Bischoff and Heenan out of the commentary booth. And that, that's a I thought it was DiBiase. That's a replay of DiBiase.
Yeah. Just to remind you of the suspense that's coming next week, when I'm assuming there's an actual Raw, I would guess.
There is an actual Raw, yes.
That makes sense. But for an unopposed one, they finished that in quite a grandstand way, and it is a shame we didn't get just a bit of standing tall. Yeah, they didn't have to beat up the NWO, but they could have
Yeah.
stood tall. Just
Oh,
run
no.
them off after they did the
Yeah.
damage on the ones who are not in War Games.
Yeah. Actually, I tell a lie because Nitro is unopposed next week because Raw aired on
2
September.
weeks.
No,
Yeah,
it
of
aired on
course.
September the 6th.
Yeah, because it's silly because I knew it was because of the US Open. US Open's 2 weeks long.
2 weeks,
So
yeah.
of course.
So the September the 2nd edition of Nitro was unopposed. Raw aired 4 days later, and then it was the September 9th that Raw was back up against Nitro, which I'd imagine would be a live Raw. No, it wasn't. Oh, hang on. I'm getting the wrong one here. Hold on. This website's going tits up. Let's just look at that again. September the 9th. No, it's still taped. So no. But anyways, but yeah, next week we're in Chattanooga in Tennessee.
Is that a real place? I always assume people make
is
it
a
up
real
to
place.
like
The Chattanooga Choo Choo.
to mock the Deep South.
No, it's a real place. Main event is the Four Horsemen against the Dungeon of Doom in an 8-man tag.
So we're back to the on again, off again, on again, off again, on again, off again,
Yeah.
on again, off again, on again, off again, on again, off again, on again dispute between the Horsemen and the Dungeon of Doom.
Yeah. We've also got a few what look like glorified squashes. Jericho against Malenko, that'll be good. So yeah, plenty to look forward to there.
And obviously we've got the promise of significant storyline development. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. We'll, like I said, hopefully we can squeeze in 2 episodes in May. So maybe we try and fish out that guest for a pay-per-view, and we get another watch-along in for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. We will set the wheels in motion there.
This is Lance Storm, and if I can be serious for a minute, you're listening to Because WCW.
Right. Well, that brings us to an end of this Nitro. Definitely a thumbs up from me. Would you say a thumbs up for you, Liam?
Yeah, absolutely. There was some absolute stink on the show. Step up forward, Mike Enos, but there was enough to enjoy watching. So a couple of good matches, and that was a big finish. They're putting some serious hype into it. They've already announced the main event for Havoc. We've got a serious show coming up in Fall Brawl, and we with the benefit of hindsight, we know how it's going, which is good as well. But even if we didn't, I would be excited right now.
Marvellous. Right. Well, thank you for listening, folks. Thank you for joining us. You can find us, as I mentioned, on Twitter at BecauseWCW, Facebook.com/BecauseWCW. We will be back very soon. In the meantime, you can look at our 109 previous episodes from, well, wherever you downloaded this podcast from. In the meantime, on behalf of Liam, this has been Twisted Genius, Dean A.S. saying thanks for joining us. We'll see you ringside.